Clive Griffith, athlete turned businessman. Dr. Yolanda Mapp conquered breast cancer in 1974. Clive Griffiths overcame testicular cancer in 1983 to resume his career as a professional soccer player. Together, they project vital images of cancer survival. Two of the more than 3 million Americans alive today who have beaten cancer.
I was raised in Red Bank, New Jersey. My father was a chauffeur. My mother had taught school prior to marrying my father. My mother was not permitted to teach in Red Bank.
Decaf, where's the wife today? Oh, she left you, huh?
So she did domestic work.
Life rules.
When I was a youth.
Good afternoon, Kansas City College.
I was born in Pontypridd in South Wales, which is a mining community in Great Britain.
Okay, sir, you need to speak with Clive Griffiths if you'll hold a moment.
Yes, Neil. Clive, how are you? We've been playing phone tag here. And every kid that went through school ended up coming out of school and going into the mines. I made the choice at 15 to join Manchester United and sign a professional form. And Manchester United in European soccer, not just in English soccer, is probably considered like the New York Yankees is in baseball. I think that people beat cancer all the time, but to function normally again, I think, is the key.
This Halloween, it will be 14 years since the day of my surgery. In 1974, I found a lymph node one morning taking a shower.
Messages?
The lymph node was located in my right armpit.
I first got to know Yolanda back in 1968 when I first came to Temple. It happened that we were both hematologists and internists, so we had a lot of activities in common. And she became a physician when medicine was not the province of anything except white males, and that couldn't have been easy.
The lymph node was removed on a Friday. The following Tuesday, he told me that I had metastatic adenocarcinoma, and I reviewed the slides with the pathologist. So the surgeon suggested that I have a mastectomy.
When the news is bad, you wish you didn't have to tell it. And when it's a doctor and you know they understand all of the connotations, you don't have the option of softening the blow.
At the age of 18, Clive came to the United States to play professional soccer.
Everyone that played against him knew his presence on the field. He will slide tackle, he'll go into you, he'll play fair, but he'll play very tough. And I think it's a lot of British background. Those teams are brought up to play very aggressively, very fair, but very aggressive. And that's where Clive came from. There was no dilly-dallying around when he was on there. He'd spend his 2 or 3 minutes really going after people and going after the ball and winning them.
I have 6 children. At the time that I had my cancer, the older boys were in high school. The middle ones must have been in junior high. Dorothy has Down syndrome, and the baby, of course, was 3.5. So I had from Tuesday to the following Monday before I went in the hospital. And during that time, I ran out and bought a bicycle for my 3.5-year-old and had him ride that bike for many hours. I wanted him to remember his mother, and I didn't really know what was going to happen. I mean, we were all upset. We thought that I was going to be dead soon in the near future. And so there was a lot of crying around the house.
Go! Yep, there it is!
One day I came home from work and he told me that his testicle hurt him. And I said, oh, he probably just got hit down there in soccer.
Went to the hospital and they had a sonogram and found out that there's suspicion of a tumor. I had to let the club know and let the coach know that there may be a possibility, that I might have cancer. And I found out that afternoon before the game. The game was going to be at 7:30 against San Jose at Camp Arena, and I found out at 1 o'clock that I had cancer.
Clive called me at 1 o'clock at work crying. So I remember shouting out to my boss, I have to go, goodbye. Got on the highway, and I was going, God knows, 85 miles an hour to get home to be with him, and I was 8.5 months pregnant.
Good morning. How are you today?
It was obvious that I didn't die immediately after surgery, therefore you have to keep on living.
How's it going? A lot better.
She underwent the mastectomy, fortunately did very well.
I went down to Jefferson and had radiotherapy.
At that point, Yolanda really became an unusual person, combination patient-doctor, because she was determined that anything that she could do to increase the likelihood of cure, she was going to take advantage of.
In January of '75 in the New England Journal was an article on adjuvant breast chemotherapy, where they used a single agent and it made the women live longer.
That's therapeutic science. That's what we like to see.
And so with that article, I went to the oncologist and we discussed the combination drug, and then Dr. Waxman administered that.
I'm going to take you out to the nurse now.
Right after the surgery, I had a window period at home before I got the radiotherapy. And during that window period, I practiced the piano 4 to 6 hours a day. I got a book on scales and chords and played music and helped my soul. I visualized myself getting well and doing all the things I like to do. I visualized myself doing judo, playing tennis, playing piano, swimming, practicing medicine, watching my kids grow up.
Meredith was probably Clive's bright spot through the whole thing. When she was born, I felt so bad. I was so torn between letting him stay home and sleep because I knew he was exhausted and thinking, well, this is the only child he's ever going to see born.
That was a great thrill. And yeah, I was as sick as a dog. It was my first round of chemotherapy. They were still trying to find out how much my body can tolerate with chemotherapy. And it zapped me.
Okay. At that time, it gave him a purpose for living, was helping take care of her. He never complained once. He got up and did feedings every night. You know, he either did the 2 or 4 o'clock feeding. And he was just very, very close to her when she was a newborn. Very close to her.
As soon as I finished treatment, about a week or 2 after, I started to work out. And yeah, it was tough. I can remember going around them running tracks and you know, chest pain, only being able to run a couple hundred yards at first and this type of thing.
Clive was a fighter, and he kept saying, I'm going to be back, and not just in the stands, but I'm going to be playing. And you could see it in his eyes, and I knew that if anyone was going to do it, it'd be Clive.
By September, when the team started practicing, I was in pretty decent shape and looked a lot better, looked more like an athlete again. I got my weight right back up as normal. So things were going great, and I kept going, and I played well, and I made the home opener.
His first game back was very emotional. The team rallied around him, and I remember we were down in the tunnel just before they were going through introductions. And he was very nervous, and his name was called, and he hesitated for a few moments, and he ran out to standing ovation. Clive didn't play for several minutes, and then they sent him out on a shift, and again, not a standing ovation, but a roar from the crowd.
The cancer came at an inopportune time. I've been practicing judo since 1963, and I was in the midst of getting ready to compete in the U.S. Judo National Championships in '75. And it interrupted my training program. And but anyway, I persisted in some training, and I did compete in the Judo Nationals of '75 out in Los Angeles. I didn't rank 1, 2, or 3, but I was there. People survive cancer. So, we should be about living. And this is why I have donated to the Cancer Society, and I give talks on different cancers or on prevention of cancer, and I'm always willing to do that.
Dr. Yolanda Mapp and Clive Griffiths, not only did they fight back and beat cancer, both are committed to helping others through their activities as American Cancer Society volunteers.
I came back and played 42 more games coming off of cancer. And that's gratifying. You know, everybody has a role to play when you've been a cancer patient. You'll either come back as a fundraiser, helping fundraising somewhere. You'll get involved in educational programs. You'll get involved in nursing programs. But most, the nature of the human being is to give something back to this, to say thanks. Hey, Justin, good job. Yeah, all right. You did it. You did it.
Done it all. She's faced some crucial choices in life head on and beat the odds. She's raised 6 children alone and still built a successful career. Her name is Dr. Yolanda Mapp, and today she is one of Eydie's people.
I'd like to know whether your immunizations are up to date.
Yolanda Mapp, MD, internist with subspecialties in pharmacology, hematology, and oncology. She teaches medicine and is in charge of the health of all of Temple's students. She's 58 years old, the mother of 6. She is one of 4 children from northern Jersey. Dad, a chauffeur, and Mom were her inspiration.
They insisted that we help our fellow men, and I think that is why I'm in the helping field today.
Working and mothering, just part of Dr. Mapp's life. She has a black belt in judo. It's something she learned after a friend, another female doctor, was mugged. There's her music. Piano came first.
In the high school band, I played drums until I became head drummer. And then I switched to trombone. And I played the bass violin in the orchestra.
The good doctor loves tennis. She writes poetry, paints, builds model airplanes. In between all this, in 1974, Yolanda Mapp found out she had cancer.
When I first found the lymph node, which showed metastatic cancer, they told me I had 6 months to live. And I had my youngest child was 3 1/2 at that point. And I really felt that I would not live to see him become an adult. I have survived.
Her one daughter, Dorothy, is 26 in years. But with Down syndrome, she's only about 4 mentally.
Another baby. What's the baby doing?
Playing cat.
I think that she was in this family to teach me how to be more gentle and loving.
In the 1980s, her husband of 30 years left the family, and Yolanda's mother died. But strength again came.
I think my deep religious conviction that there is a God that rules this world and that He is looking out for me. I enjoy life. I consider each day a gift.
Dr. Mapp is an inspiration to all who know and work with her, a good physician and a good woman. And we didn't say she climbed Mount Fuji.
What you do in her spare time?
Did Dr. Mapp talk about any resolved fears of any kind?
She said down sometimes when she's doing judo, she gets a few pains and aches, and she wonders if the cancer may have moved to the bones, but that she just dismisses quickly, goes right ahead and says that's not going to keep her from enjoying the years that she has left.
Great attitude.
Well, a lot of hobbies, too, thanks to you.